grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field, for the wind passes over it, and it is gone. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless his holy name. The Lord has established his throne.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Monday. Brad here. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever, whenever you're watching this video. Apologize for the little premature start earlier there. I wasn't quite ready. I didn't have the audio set up, but here we are. And no, this is not clickbait. I've got some stuff to share with you people. There's a big win. There's a big information something that you need to know about. And there's also some stuff that we should not, we don't do fear here. We don't, but we should be concerned. We should be watching, paying attention, and seeing how we can push back. So honestly, information, a big win, and let's pay attention. Okay, so here's the scoop. Good evening, by the way. Sorry. If you have not already, please click the thumbs up. 18 of you have, and for those 18, I say thank you. Good evening to the Happy Meat Farm Rios Jess. Hey, say hello to baby Taquito, one of her children who's awesome. And she has all awesome children, but baby Taquito, you, sir, could possibly be my favorite, just possibly. Becky, Heather, Patricia. Oh, I need better glasses. Is that Lulabelle? Lolabelle. And Jeanette, anybody else? Susie, if you're here, say hi. If you're here, check in. If you're here, say where you are from, at least your state of mental distress along with me. Okay? So, love Mama, hey, from Florida. NW Nature Lady. So, good evening to you. Okay, so here's the scoop. I had the privilege yesterday to go with a friend of mine to do a very unusual thing that led me on a journey that I need to share with you. Now, if you're the kind of person that you're going, skip to the end, Brad, get to the point, I have to tell you about 5 minutes worth of advance before we get to the point. So if you're that kind of person and you're watching this replay, just skip ahead because you're going to just get frustrated. Because I have to tell you how we started in order for it to make sense when we get there. Okay, so here's the scoop. Had the privilege yesterday of going to a radio station, which will not be named. I'm going to have to say a lot of veiled things, guys, because frankly, I don't know if anybody's on the hook or anybody's in trouble for anything. So I'm just going to keep it vague, but you will get the point. And if you want to do more research, look it up yourself because you can see it yourself. Okay. Here's the scoop. Went to a radio station yesterday that was being decommissioned. Now, that's an interesting thing. How many of you guys have ever been in a real working radio station? First of all, because most of us have a wrong idea of what it is to be in a radio station. Most radio stations are not this big, massive, glitzy, Hollywoody looking place that's, 5,000 square feet of nothing but the coolest, blah, blah. They have those, but that is not 95% of radio stations. Most radio stations are in like a strip center, like shopping mall, and it's just some offices or a small house out in the middle of nowhere that you wouldn't really know unless there was a gigantic tower up or some satellite dishes or that sort of thing. But for the most part, they just look like small facilities, nothing, presumptuous about them. It's just looks like either a little house or an office building and yada, yada, right? Arthur, am I right? For the most part, that's what they look like. Sometimes if you're in a really big one, they got the glitz and the glamour, but that's not most of them. Well, this particular radio station was an AM radio station that had been sold. And I didn't think much of it. This station was being decommissioned, and because it was being sold, the new owners didn't really care about much except for they wanted the call sign, the actual, the legal stuff when it comes to that frequency belongs to this channel, and they are legally allowed to do this. Okay, that's the expensive thing. Okay, then the second thing is really the location with the towers so that they can broadcast, and then amplifiers. The ability to make that signal go out. Now, those are really the expensive things. Really, that doesn't really cost you that much money, except for the fact that you have to take time and you build those things up. And there's a lot of red tape in getting your signal legal with the federal government. And Southern Grits, ours is a double wide. They got a radio station. Cool. Yours in town. Yeah, they're not that presumptuous. They're not that assuming places. That's what it really is. It's the tower, amplifiers, and the equipment of it is very, very minimalistic. There's not a lot. Okay. So when a radio station is sold, those are really the things that they want. All the stuff in it is usually the stuff that is of the least value. I have to tell you this because it's not going to make sense when I describe what I'm going to describe, and you're going to go, what in the world? So this radio station was being decommissioned, which will not be named, and my friend will not be named. It was his gig. I was along for the ride because he knew I like recording stuff, and he's like, oh, Brad, they got this, and this. You got to come and check it out. And in that chair right over there, there's some cool rack mount equipment. But the equipment they don't really care about because, like I said, it's the towers, the amplifiers, and for the most part, the legal junk, right? So this station had been sold, and it was completely like a bomb went off inside this place. It was crazy how it was just completely like it had been ransacked, like robbers had gone through. It was just stuff everywhere, tables and chairs and old equipment and headphone amplifiers and all the glass and all the several different little rooms and all of the stuff. And it was pretty much like they just took whatever they wanted and they left. And the new owners didn't give a rip what was there. And I was just scratching my head thinking, what in the world? Why? What's with all this waste? What's going on here? And this friend of mine said, oh, this is kind of common, man. That when they're gone, they don't care about anything except those three big things, like the tower, the amplifiers, and the legal junk. And my head was just swimming. We took home like some furniture stuff that they didn't want. It was like some filing cabinets and a table and some little electronic stuff, but for the most part, it was stuff that I already had and didn't need or whatever, right? Well, that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is bigger than this. This is the setup to make you understand why what was next baffled me so much. So I'm looking around this place and I'm going, okay, that filing cabinet used would be $60, $60, $60, $120, $500. I know what that thing is. That thing, if you could sell it on eBay, that's $1,000. Whoa. Wait a minute. And I started asking questions like, why are they just walking away from all this stuff? By the way, if you happen to be a Minnesota Twins baseball team fan, you should text me. They left an interesting bit of memorabilia behind that they just were throwing away. They were literally throwing it away. Now, why am I saying all this stuff? Because my head is swimming. My head's swimming going, I know what that is. That's a lot of money. They're throwing all this away. Why don't they care? That's the setup to get us to this point. But before we do, only 58 of you have said you like the video so far. And now I'm feeling a little bit emotionally distraught. Come on, folks, hit the like button. Okay, so here's the next part. So I'm baffled. Why in the world are they just walking away from all this stuff? Then I started asking, I was like, well, surely this is just like this is crazy. Maybe somebody, unfortunately, passed away and they're just trying to get rid of it, or what's the deal? He said, no, this is happening all over the place. What? This is happening all over the place, and we're probably going to be going to another radio station really soon that they said, oh, if you think this one's got good stuff that they're throwing away, wait till you see this one. Oh, and there's another one. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, yeah, there's all these AM stations are getting bought up, purchased, without the new owners even stepping foot into the buildings of these ones that they're buying. Don't call me Shirley. Dan, funny. Shirley, you just, yeah, I got it. Airplane reference. Anyway, so they're buying these. Jess is already on it. Yahtzee. You guys read the comment. She's a quick one. Here's the scoop. So I'm asking myself, what is with all this? Because what did I say? They want the amplifiers, they want the towers, and they want the legal blah, 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 right? So he said, yeah, there's these gigantic companies that are coming in and they're buying up every AM station that they can get, even if they're paying a ridiculous amount more money than they're actually worth. Sight unseen. He said, oh yeah, they haven't even been here. They have no idea. This particular individual does work on these, on equipment. Let's just say that. I'll keep it as veiled as I can. And they just send in the bill. This is what I did. They pay it sight unseen. And this is not the first station, nor is it the last. He said, oh yeah, it's happening all over here. Now, why? Okay, normally Brad would be the guy that says, okay, capitalism is capitalism. They couldn't make it work. All right, you'll sell your stuff and move on, right? Except, dun, 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 where's the money coming from for these purchases, ladies and gents? Well, these are big conglomerates of people with one particular political ideology. And they don't really like having talk radio out there. As a matter of fact, I started doing some research on these AM stations that are being repurposed. You know, reuse, renew, recycle. They're being repurposed. and none of them seem to have, how do you say it? Talk radio that would be balanced, would you say? Yeah, I would say that. You can look it up. Look it up for yourself, because here's the truth. When somebody hears something like this, you either believe me or you don't, and you go, well, he's just clearly got one side of an opinion, and it wouldn't matter what I have to say, because at that point, you don't believe me anyway, right? So you're either going to look it up and go, well, maybe he was right, or you're not going to believe me anyway. So then why I'm not going to just try to convince you. So look it up yourself, right? But the money behind it is really, 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 really one-sided. And, well, all those dissenting or questioning voices are going away. Now, I thought, I'm scratching my head going, daggone it. Tim R. I know who Tim R. is. I don't believe you. I know you speak the truth. All right. Now I said I had to tell you guys the 411 first, and then I got to tell you about a big win, because we talked about this a little bit back. All right. Gary says they're buying out bandwidth. Is this for cell phone companies? Gary, I actually can speak to this because I had to deal with it at a church that I worked at about 9 years ago. If you guys have ever, you ever been to a church in the past 20 years, they have the microphones and the wireless units that are wireless. There's no cabling that goes from the microphone to the mixing console, and it comes out the PA system, right? Well, back then, about 9-ish years, you check me on that. The FCC said, hey, this whole bandwidth, this allocated bandwidth that you have been using since the beginning of time for music and production and live performance and stuff like that, all of this big chunk is going away, and they've reallocated it for emergency vehicles and EMS and fire and stuff like that. Except that's not what exactly happened. Imagine that. That's what they told us. And then lo and behold, stuff got used for different things. And our poor church, oh my gosh, it was a ridiculous amount. It was something like, if I remember correctly, it was at least 12 complete wireless systems that we had to replace at like $800 each. Oh, it was brutal. And if you guys, that's a lot of money. Anyway, that said, so I'm scratching my head with the AM radio station thing, okay? Now I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, didn't we just talk on something just the other day? This is a win, and this is why I'm actually even talking about this at all tonight. Here's the win. Go ahead and Google /search that AM radios in cars, Ford cars, are going to be they're going to be discontinued. They're not going to be putting them into the new Ford vehicles. Except they changed it. Here's the thing, and I think it was because of you guys. They had made a statement a few months back that I caught eye of, that they were going to discontinue AM radio stations, AM radio in the new vehicles. It's not out. They changed their course. You guys and many more people like us griped about it, and we got it reversed. How about that? How about that? That's pretty stinking awesome. So, and I'm going to read this. It says here you can on, I don't even know what website, TechCrunch. Ford to keep AM radio in cars after pressure from lawmakers. They changed their tune, guys. Ford has reversed its decision to build new vehicles without AM radio after pressure from lawmakers. CEO Jim Farley wrote in the post, they're changing their tune. They're changing their tune. That's good. And I thought to myself, why would they get rid of it in the first place? That makes no sense. They need nothing. It costs them zero. It would cost them to get rid of the AM radio because they'd have to change the system. They already own everything. They own all the stuff. It's already there. It's tech they have. It made no sense until I started thinking, wait a minute. Why are they changing all of the programming for these small stations that are getting bought up? And why would they be getting rid of AM radio, which is really, really important, guys, when you talk about the emergency broadcast system? Remember that? That sound, and then everybody waits for whatever's going to happen. Oh, perfectly timed comment under the median. I worked in AM radio for 12 years. What are they going to do with the EBS? Actually, I had 2 of those units in my hands yesterday. I might bring one home because they were literally just unplugged laying on the floor. The emergency broadcast system, the entire emergency broadcast system is set up with AM radio, and there's a reason for that, isn't there, under the median? It's about control of the flow of information, isn't it, guys? That's what it is. We've been seeing it here. And by here, I mean social media. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank, okay? Now, all of that to say that if there are no voices that are different than the, air quotes, approved voices, it only takes time for the people that are listening to believe whatever's told them. Right? Isn't that it? If they control what you see and what you hear and what you don't see and don't hear, then don't they have only like this much time until everybody believes whatever they see and hear? Just think about it. Now, all I'm going to say about the Ford decision to make to flip it around, to change it, it took a lot of people making a lot of phone calls to their elected officials and saying, I want AM radio. I want it. However, it ain't going to do much good if the AM radio that you listen to is controlled by people that are only going to give you one side of the story. So, those of you out there with any broadcast experience under the median, maybe you could put those 12 years of experience to work and start a station. Maybe you could. I don't know. All I know is I know how to do this. I know how to do that stuff behind me. Right? So here's the point, guys. It's a dangerous, slippery slope to go down if you're only hearing one side of the story. And what happens, heaven forbid, if all the digital stuff stopped working, right? Analog radios, won't they still work? Wouldn't ham radios still work? Wouldn't they? You guys who know this better than me, answer the question. I would have to spend hours looking it up and go click, click, click. What would work? What wouldn't work? Right? So if you do know, fill in the blanks here. The emergency broadcast system, according to Dan Ward, 64, is all the digital, I need better glasses, all digital binary, so now they can discriminate between repeaters. That's interesting. AM will continue to transmit until the signal. That's interesting. Passes on. That's interesting. Yes, yes, and yes. Just do as usual. Ignore the voices that don't represent freedom. Shara, I agree with you, which is why we don't do fear here. Not trying to scare anybody. This is all about just straight up information. I was shocked. Couldn't believe it. I was there firsthand. You hear those stories, right? This is what my point is like, or one of my points is that people say, yeah, I heard a guy who told me this thing. And then when you really talk to them, they said, no, it wasn't him. It was his girlfriend. And then when you get further in, it was, no, it wasn't his girlfriend. It was his girlfriend's mom. His girlfriend's mom told the girlfriend who told him, who told me, and this is what's happening. No, I'm saying that I was there firsthand. I was there. It was kind of crazy because they had all this equipment just laying around, and I'm like, hey, what's this thing do? The emergency broadcast system. Like, I don't know if you can see it. In that chair, you can almost see it. There's like a 6-channel headphone amp for like when radio stations do interviews, when all the big stars come in or the sports people and they come in and all put on the headphones. It's right there. Rack mount this and rack mount that. I'm just telling you because it's happening right in front of your very eyes, guys. And I think Africo Man has got a good plan, Eric. Africo Man revealed. As long as the birds keep chirping, I got all the news I need. Yeah. Let's see. I'm just reading. Noah's Ark, 1962. That's an interesting comment that you make. And the thing that concerns me about that is this. If everybody who believes the same way is in the same room talking about the same thing, wouldn't it make sense that they're all going to come to the same conclusions about the same thing, about the same stuff? Isn't that called like an echo chamber? And if you're in an echo chamber, everybody that's in there is talking about the same things, coming up with the same conclusions. It's kind of like, what's that phrase? You're preaching to the choir? Well, here, there's still a good possibility that if people are willing to listen, which is getting smaller and smaller, truth, but there are still people that are willing to listen, then you can possibly open some ears and open some eyes, and every once in a while you get people that go, huh, no way. I never thought of it that way. Right? There you have it, folks. Keep your eyes open. No fear. Zero fear. If you don't mind, hit a thumbs up before you head on out. And don't forget to share the videos. It's really important that we share these videos, guys. So that said, I'm going to play you a song. If you like music, these are free. Download them. It's Scripture. It's straight up Scripture set to music. This one, I believe, is Ephesians chapter 4. And follow along. Check it out. There's a link in there. It's WYSIWYGMinistries.com. And it's free. Download it. All right. Have a blessed night, guys. See you later. Bye.
I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience bearing with one another in love, maintain the unity of the Spirit. In the bond of peace there is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. But grace was given to each one of us according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore it says, when He ascended on high, He led a host of captives, and He gave gifts to men. In saying He ascended, what does it mean but that He had also descended into the lower regions, the earth? He who descended is the one who also ascended far above all the heavens,
that He might fill all things.
and He gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds and teachers,
to equip the saints
for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ,
until we all attain to the unity
of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to mature manhood,
to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ,
so that we may no longer be children, tossed to and fro by the waves and carried about by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness, in deceitful schemes, rather speaking the truth in love. We are to grow up in every way into Him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. Now this I say and testify in the Lord, that you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do, in the futility of their minds. They are darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to their hardness of heart. They have become callous and have given themselves up to sensuality, greedy to practice every kind of impurity. But that is not the way you learned Christ.